You should be watching me.
In the early 2000s, which were my elementary school years, the only anime I was watching was Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Digimon. I wasn't going to get into Yu-Gi-Oh! Because it looked ridiculous of how serious the characters took a card game. But this cool kid in my neighborhood got Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards, and once the cool kid starts something, everybody in my neighborhood follows, so that's what happened to me, and the reason why I got into Yu-Gi-Oh! Thanks to the cool kid though. When I watched Yu-Gi-Oh! It was a good anime, and it was worth the watch. As for Digimon, I discovered the anime on my own. One Saturday morning when I was around 6 to 7 years old, I got up early in the morning and turned on the TV, and it happened to be on channel 2, which was airing Digimon. Digimon was cool because it showed fighting and stuff, and as a kid that was appealing. Since Digimon is the first anime I discovered on my own, it will always hold a place in my memories. Dragon Ball Z was out at the time, but I did not know what time it showed on Cartoon Network, and I will have to get lucky to find it on TV sometimes. I was lost when I watched a Dragon Ball Z episode because I wouldn't know what will be going on in the storyline, so unfortunately I was not watching Dragon Ball Z, which was a favorite amongst the big kids at the time. Instead, I would watch Yu-Gi-Oh! And Digimon because I happened to know the time each new episode would come on, which was every Saturday morning. Saturdays were epic in those times. Now to get to the point of this video, I happened to see a trailer that Toonami made for Yu Yu Hakushow when I was on Cartoon Network, and it looked cool. Toonami gave the date and time of the showing, so when I watched the first episode it blew me away. I was drawn to how cool, sad, and relatable the anime was. I was so drawn away that I forgot about Yu-Gi-Oh! And Digimon because of how good this anime was compared to them. No longer was I watching Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Digimon, but Yu Yu Hakushow, and on top of that, Rurouni Kenshin came on right after Yu Yu Hakushow, and it made the viewing experience at that time that much more epic. Since the time I watched Yu Yu Hakushow until now, I cannot find any anime that can top Yu Yu Hakushow on its perfection. For its time, Yu Yu Hakushow has a good storyline, characters, villains, soundtrack, and coolest power moves. To summarize Yu Yu Hakushow briefly, it is about a middle school boy named Yusuke Urameshi who is hired by the spirit world to take on demons that are harming humanity. Later on his quest, he teams up with 3 other characters who help him on his mission on saving humanity from demons. These 3 characters' names are Kuwabara, Kurama, and Hiei. Kuwabara is a human with supernatural ability and the funny character in the group. Kurama is a demon atoning for his deeds against the spirit world. He is serious, quiet, but smart character. And he is another demon that is atoning for his crimes against humanity. He is cool and a badass character. I could go on more about each of these 4 main characters, including Yusuke in this video, but that would be too much dialogue, and each character deserves their own video. After all, I did claim for this anime to be perfect, so a lot more videos should be done for that reason. Growing up, I can see these 4 main characters and the personalities of the people I hung out with. I'm pretty sure a lot of people can attest to that. Personally in my life, if I thought anybody was cool, it was Yusuke Urameshi. That was a character I wanted to be in some way, but for the most part I found myself being a bit of all 4 of the main characters in Yu Yu Hakushow because they all grew on me as the show progressed. So what I am basically saying is when you mix all these 4 characters together, this is what you get in real life. I'm kidding of course, but I am serious about having a piece of personality of these characters within me. As for the villains, there's this guy named Tagoro, and he is my favorite villain in all anime. His move is to constantly get more muscle, so he is the definition of very strong. This guy puts so much fear in the protagonist, he literally had his legs shaking when he encountered him, and for the record, I got in a fight with someone a lot bigger than me, and my legs started shaking during the confrontation. So like I said, this show is just so relatable. Yusuke ends up kicking his ass after Tagoro kept powering up his muscles from 80% to 100% to 110%, which is bullshit. The limit is 100%, but Yusuke whooped him anyways. I can't say I won my fight, but all that means is that I need more training, which is what I'm currently working on. The soundtrack in Yu Yu Hakushow reaches your emotions in incredible ways. Let's check it out.
That's anticlimactic. You knew him for so long and now he's dead. Do you think that was sufficient for you? Or do I need to take another of your friends for you to get the point? What? Huh? So I guess that was enough.
You took my teacher. And now I let you take my friend. What the hell do you want from me? His spirit energy is undeniably different than before.
All right, Tagoro, you got what you wished for.
Don't you think I wanted to use my power and win this thing and go home? Of course. I just didn't know how to reach it. And I have to live with that.
Maybe not for long, Yusuke.
Yusuke fights to escape from the Dark Tournament, knowing that even if he wins, he will have to leave Kuwabara behind. Taguro wants the ultimate confrontation. And as Yusuke unseals all the power he's acquired, it seems that's exactly what he'll get.
The soundtrack gives an emotional rise to the cool scene. The tone is just perfection. The power moves are by far the best. The spirit gun, which is Yusuke's move of him shooting a burst of energy from his finger, is a cool move. Just the sound of it when you say it is cool, and the way it was done is cool. I really want to emphasize on how cool and creative that is. Along with Kuroba's spirit sword, which is a sword that manifests from his hand using his energy and made up of energy. Then you have the coolest attack move of all time from Hiei, which is Dragon of the Darkness Flames, and that move right there is badass and cool. What I'm trying to say is that the moves are cool and creative, and it is something that you should be watching, as Funimation used to say. On top of that, the show is made up of 112 episodes, so it is not that long or short of a series. It is just perfect. When the show was airing on Toonami, they didn't quite finish showing all 112 episodes before they removed the show. This really pissed me off. I wanted to know the end of the anime, and I know a lot of people were watching it. I don't know why they decided to take it off, but one thing I assumed was that it was Naruto's fault, which was wrong of me to do. The reason I thought it was Naruto's fault was because as soon as Naruto started airing, they took Yu Yu Hakushow out of the slot, which made me hate Naruto. It was wrong of me to put the hate on Naruto, but I saw Naruto get so much love when it came out. I knew if Yu Yu Hakushow was right next to Naruto, it would have gotten that much more publicity. Naruto was not at fault. My guess now for why they did what they did was because they wanted to show the new anime that is coming out, so they had to remove the old. Besides, me and Naruto share the same birthday, believe it, so the guy is alright with me. Speaking of Naruto, which is my third favorite anime, and a favorite amongst many anime fans, I would like to compare it to Yu Yu Hakushow and explain why Yu Yu Hakushow surpasses it. Naruto had a good variety of characters and storyline, and I would like to say that the attack moves are cool and very strategic. The way the hand signs are performed right before a move looks sick. Not to mention the way they run in Naruto was cool, and that had people running like that in real life. The Sharingan was a very cool move and made Sasuke and Itachi very cool characters. The villains are good as well, like Orochimaru and Madara are right up there next to Tagoro on baddest villains of all time. But like I said, Tagoro is the best. Naruto has a very good soundtrack. This anime has practically everything I mentioned to describe the greatness I mentioned about in Yu Yu Hakushow. That might be true that it has everything in Yu Yu Hakushow, but something that Naruto had that Yu Yu Hakushow did not, which serves as the primary reason for its flaw, is, you guessed it, fillers. The fillers took the audience away from the storyline for a long time. We were talking about like 30 episodes and then it would come back to the original storyline, and that is enough episodes to make you forget where the original storyline even left off. So that's pretty bad. Because of these fillers, Naruto, and if you're counting Naruto Shippuden as well, has a total of 720 episodes. For both Naruto and Naruto Shippuden, that would give you a total of 295 episodes of canon, and that still is a long amount of episodes to sit through compared to 112 episodes that Yu Yu Hakushow is made up of. I also feel like Naruto and Naruto Shippuden are made by different creators, even though I know that they are not, but it definitely feels that way. Perhaps they lost a director or some other creator when they started transitioning from Naruto to Naruto Shippuden, but that is a video I plan on making once I do a little bit more research on it. But let me know if you guys feel the same way too in the comment section. Hunter x Hunter is another anime that ranked number 5 in my favorite anime of all time, and it is an anime that people consider number 1. It has a good soundtrack and just about everything good I mentioned about in Yu Yu Hakushow. The creators are even the same for both Hunter x Hunter and Yu Yu Hakushow, but I'm only going to be going over the 1999 version of Hunter x Hunter and not the 2011 version because I did not like the new adaptation. And if you would like to know why I didn't like the 2011 version, I made a detailed video about it. The link is in the description. The Hunter x Hunter 1999 version ended in Green Island, and it sucked that the show did not continue with the same director, and it just feels like there are things missing and not complete. All that stuff that they were doing in the new 2011 version of Hunter x Hunter could have been better if it was done under the same style of the crew in the 1999 version, and because of this inconsistency, Hunter x Hunter lacks the capability of being the perfect anime. A friend of mine considers considers Berserk his favorite anime of all time because of how real the characters are and how engaging each episode can be. I placed the anime as my 8th favorite anime of all time, and that is because its ending is tragic and it left the protagonist from having everything to having nothing at all. Also, the way it ended made it seem like there was more episodes to be made, but the creator who made the anime is gone, and the new creator does not give it the same vibe as the old one. So it is another case of Hunter x Hunter where all the pieces are not put together in a consistent flow, which messes up the anime. As for my second favorite anime of all time, Rurouni Kenshin, I only placed it that high because of the main character, because I will say he is my favorite character in all of anime. He's a very nice guy that can beat your ass if the situation calls for it, and that is a character I admire. The show is not number one because it has a lot of fillers, but the soundtrack and storyline is right up there with Yu Yu Hakushow. I know I did a lot of comparison with the old school anime, and in no way am I scared to compare Yu Yu Hakushow with the new. One might say by looking at my top 5 favorite anime that I am an old school guy when it comes to the anime I like, and what I say to that is that the old school anime are just better because I do believe the old school creators had passion in the anime they were making. For a time, the new school anime was sucking because it seemed like creators were just getting into it for the money rather than any passion. That is very incorrect for me to think now though, since there has been a rise to so many good anime that they can potentially replace my top 5 favorite anime of all time, but they have to be completed first before I make my final decision. The anime I am talking about is Attack on Titan and Sword Art Online. They both have great soundtrack and epic scenes, and they basically have all the good stuff I mentioned about Yu Yu Hakushow, and of course the new anime is going to top Yu Yu Hakushow on the art because of the progression of technology. Even though the anime are not yet completed, Yu Yu Hakushow tops them over the fact that Sword Art Online and Attack on Titan have too much dialogue in their episodes, that it can take a few episodes for the epic scenes to start happening. The dialogue is necessary for the anime given that both Sword Art Online and Attack on Titan have complicated stories of their world, that one is a virtual one and another is inhabited by titans. A lot of dialogue is going to be needed to explain all that, but in Yu Yu Hakushow there is hardly a dull moment in dialogue. You can expect to see a good scene in each episode. It is only fair to mention 7 Deadly Sins given that we are using its soundtrack. This is another anime that can make my top 5 favorite anime of all time. It has everything Yu Yu Hakushow has, but it cannot be number 1 given the fact of how evil this anime is. That just feels like if I were to put 7 Deadly Sins as my number 1 favorite anime of all time, I would go to hell. Just the name 7 Deadly Sins gives an evil vibe, and in 7 Deadly Sins the opposing enemy is the 10 Commandments, and that is just plain evil to flip the script like that. In the Bible, the book of Isaiah chapter 5 verse 20 states, "Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter." All 7 Deadly Sins has done is prove that you can be too evil to be placed number 1 on the anime spectrum. Demon Slayer on the other hand is not an evil anime because it is about killing demons, just like Yu Yu Hakushow, and it has all the good stuff Yu Yu Hakushow has, but I prefer Yu Yu Hakushow's characters over Demon Slayer. To me, Yu Yu Hakushow's main characters can be liked by all age groups, but Demon Slayer characters appeal more profoundly to the younger generation. The 4 main characters in Demon Slayer act more childlike, and the Yu Yu Hakusho characters were more grown in the way they interacted. The Yu Yu Hakusho characters would be taken more serious in real life than the Demon Slayer characters. I can testify about Yu Yu Hakusho being liked by all age groups since I liked the show when I was young, around 9 years old, and still see it cool now when I'm 27. Demon Slayer on the other hand, targeted audience does seem to be for the youth, and I'm not saying older people can't get into it, but they just won't be able to get into it the way they would for Yu Yu Hakusho. A new anime that does pose a threat to Yu Yu Hakusho on the number 1 seat is Dancing on Ice, and I'm kidding of course, and probably someone thought I was not, but I am. And so the anime that actually poses a threat to Yu Yu Hakusho is My Hero Academia. This anime has all the good stuff Yu Yu Hakusho does, but I need to see the whole series to give my final verdict, to see if it is perfect and can take the number 1 spot as best anime. Only time will tell. What I like to suggest, and this is just merely a suggestion, but the art in Yu Yu Hakusho can use an upgrade. The soundtrack and voice actors can all remain the same, but the only touch up the anime should receive is an improvement on the art, and not drift too far away from the way it is drawn, nor change the color, but change the ratio and pixel of it to appeal to the modern viewers, because I know there are a lot of people that take the art very serious and won't even consider watching an anime because of how outdated the art is. That's the only touch up I suggest, and in nowhere do I want them to continue Yu Yu Hakusho from where it left off, or definitely not make a new adaptation with different colors and soundtracks like they did with Hunter x Hunter. That can ruin Yu Yu Hakusho and potentially remove it from being number 1. For the meantime, Yu Yu Hakusho has the number 1 seat because it has good storyline, soundtrack, characters, villains, attack moves, and consistent animation crew from start to finish. We went through a list of so many anime that does not have all those elements, thus it prevents those animes from being perfect the way Yu Yu Hakusho is. If you have not watched that anime, then do yourself a favor and watch it it during this fake pandemic. I'm going to watch it again because it has been a while and the anime is just that good to watch all over again. Alright, late.